I was thinking like, okay, what is the people looking for? What are the key parts that the company is looking for? Of course, definitely one is productivity. Leadership was right there on the people. It was one thing that helped me go through that process, and it was specifically the mind. When I found out about the mind in terms of the marketing, everybody want to have a better mind, they want to be better leadership, but everything to the mind, because with every person I spoke, every time I talk about the mind, they say, I wonder if there is any product, if there anything I can do to have a better mind, I'll do it. Then I went to Los Angeles. I studied a part that is called Herman Brain Dominant Thinking, which is the preference of the mind. And when I was working into the coaching, I started explaining why it was so important to understand the preference of the mind. That is in part of marketing, how I get it.
Welcome to Career Coaching Secrets, the podcast where we talk with successful career coaches on how they built their success and the hard lessons they learned along the way. My name is Davis Nguyen, and I'm the founder of Purple Circle, where we help career coaches scale their business to $100,000 years, $100,000 months, and even $100,000 weeks. Before Purple Circle, I've grown several 7- and 8-figure career coaching businesses myself, and have been a consultant at 2 career coaching businesses that are doing over $100 million each. Whether you're an established coach or building your practice for the first time, you'll discover the secrets to elevating your coaching business.
Welcome to Career Coaching Secrets Podcast. I'm Kevin, and today we're joined by Diana Figueroa. She's been a coach for 15 plus years, the founder of Intus Health. Welcome to the podcast, Diana.
Thank you, Kevin. I'm so happy to be here with you.
Yeah, it's a pleasure over here as well. Let's get into the origin story, the lore. There's a lot of different careers out there. You could have chose anything, but you chose coaching. And so I'm very curious, what led you to choose coaching, but not only that, but turn it into a business? I'm so curious about that.
Actually, it was a family thing. Since I was little, those questions arises about how energy, why my body, what I was feeling. So I start studying shamanism. Then I study bio-neuroemotion. Then I went into all the teachings of Vedanta and meditation and all of that, and then ended up in coaching, working basically at the beginning with my family. I wanted to really have a better relationship with my mother, and it was fantastic because it helps all my family. I spend time talking with each member of the family and look for a lot of information, general information. And then after the years, especially after COVID, then everybody started asking me like help. And that's how I turned it into business.
Ah, that's interesting. Was it a sudden transition? Like you were just like, one day I'm going to do it? Or was it kind of like a slow rollout?
It was a slowdown. It was a slowdown. And it had to do with also personal life. So it was a slow process. And then I was doing a lot of other meetings and things and working in marketing and helping companies and do a lot of content. Suddenly one day I say, I have to stop because there is something there. I ended up finished by studying the full yoga in India. And suddenly I decide, okay, I'm just gonna let it go, surround to the universe and see what happens.
And so that leads me to ask, what did happen after that? Like, how was the initial, first year, 90 days? Like, once you made that transition, what happened?
At the beginning, it was not easy. Definitely was not easy because in my case, I was most into the spiritual approach of coaching, into a personal growth focus. But then when you start to explaining what you do, many people think they know what is coaching. Really, there is a very little understanding of what it is coaching unless you have the experience with a coach. So it took me at the beginning time to explain companies, directors, employees, what was about coaching, focus on that personal growth, on that professional growth in very specific areas of leadership. So at the beginning was a little bit of a slow process. It was explaining what it is and why it was so important to have that approach.
What makes it really interesting too, because you also have a marketing background. And so one of the things I'm very curious about is like, okay, so you definitely have a very holistic approach. And so I definitely know with spiritual type of holistic approaches, right? It's a little bit hard for some people to understand. And so I'm kind of curious, like, with the marketing basics, right? How did you decide who you want to help, the problems that you want to help them with? Yeah, how did you kind of approach that?
I had something in mind. I was precise because of the marketing. I was thinking like, okay, what is the people looking for? What are the key parts that the company is looking for? Of course, definitely one is productivity. Leadership was right there on the people, but it was one thing that helped me go through that process, and it was specifically the mind. When I found out about the mind in terms of the marketing, everybody want to have a better mind, they want to be better leadership, but everything to the mind, because with every person I spoke, every time I talk about the mind, they say, I want that. If there is any product, if there anything I can do to have a better mind, I'll do it. Then I went to Los Angeles. I studied a part that is called Herman Brain Dominant Thinking, which is the preference of the mind. And when I was working into the coaching, I started explaining why it was so important to understand the preference of the mind. That is in part of marketing, how I get it. Because if everybody want to have a better mind, then of course I start getting into the mind, but then little by little to the background.
Yeah, it's really interesting because I've seen like other people kind of talk about this sort of stuff, like Joe Dispenza, and he uses neuroscience as the bridge and stuff like that too. And there's something that is because if you think about it, like if you look at Maslow hierarchy of needs, right, that self-actualization, that top part, it's probably like, I don't know, 1%, maybe less than 1%. And so if you're marketing straight toward that, no one understands the message. So it was really great that you started focusing on the mind to make it more relatable to people. I love that.
Yeah, because
And so,
like
go ahead.
like when you talk about the mind, everybody want it, but and you start with the mind. You start like decode, like yeah, getting rid of so many things of the mind, and that is the only way you can get little by little into the spiritual world. No, into the cell world, into the cell awareness, into the consciousness awareness. That's the only way you also get into the mind, just by that.
Yeah, and it's something very, very tangible too that we have to use all the time. Like we notice our thoughts. We're like, oh, it's always nagging, or it's like, oh, it's feeling pretty calm today. And so I think it's relatable to a lot of people. I love that. So I'm kind of also curious, since you have a marketing background, how do people, I'm sure it's changed over the years, but how do people find out about you? Like, what kind of marketing are you kind of doing? Have you tried? Have you not decided not to do? Curious on that end.
No, definitely the marketing is more toward education. So if I start doing what you're doing also with this podcast, it's like kind of education and it's information for people to understand things. So this is how I approach marketing into that. But when people look at me, they also see that I have that background of television, the background of production, the background of speaking. And that helps a lot because it gives you an image, it gives you respect in what you're doing. And then comes, okay, beyond that marketing, beyond that phase or production or experience, what is the value of the real information that is behind this phase or behind this experience in marketing? And this is what it comes, the real conversation begins.
That's beautiful. Okay. So it sounds like you're doing a lot of content marketing through education and stuff like that. That's your primary thing. People are finding about you. They're raising hands. Okay, let's talk about the next part then. Like, if someone's like, hey, Diana, I want to work with you somehow, some way, what does that look like? And so my question is like, when someone decides to want to work with you, what do your coaching engagement looks like? Are they mostly one-on-one? Do you do groups? Like, walk me through your main offerings.
I think the first question or the first part of the conversation, I definitely go into marking the difference between coaching, consulting, mentoring, and also therapy. because they're full approach. So if the client understand what they want, or they want a little bit of everything, but I need to be clear which one they want, because mostly they look for you because you have experience in something that is called mentoring, because you do a business, because you have a group. So then they have to understand if they want to go to you because of the mentoring, because of something you experience in work that is going to help them also to understand better the work. So that is mentoring. And then if they want therapy because they have an emotional healing through therapeutic help, to have better relationships, to have better communication. So that I call it therapy, which is a different approach. If they want to go with the coaching, which is like more personal growth, more professional growth, I will center into the client. But at the beginning, it's the consultation, no? To see how or which area they need help. No, if they need help with leadership, they need help with productivity, they need help on communication. So sometimes I do a workshop first to find out, to review what's the things, because some parts the CEO tell me, but the other part is what I observe. So I love to go with that observation part, and I take time. Then I prepare the document to see, listen, this is what you look for, what you think you're looking for. This is my findings. And now how can I combine this if you're interested in work, the whole part? And in that part, I offer even a 1 day workshop all day, which is a big event, full group, or I start one-on-one with the employees or with the person. But it's basically always in an approach of doing things.
And I like the differentiation that you had between like coaching, consulting, therapy. Sometimes like, especially with this kind of inner, let's call it inner work, right? Especially with the inner work type of stuff, sometimes it can get a little bit muddy. So I like the clear differentiation that you have as well. Now, something I think about too, it seems like the work you do is quite intimate, right? Because if we're focusing on the mind and doing this kind of like holistic health, I guess, right? I'm sure the stuff that is coming up is pretty intimate. So how do you think about like how do you manage your client capacity so that you don't burn out? Do you hire other people? Do you set a max clients? Like kind of curious your thoughts about that.
Yeah, I don't take everybody. I take few of them. And when I got that differentiation, then I can rely on other coaches. Like for example, if right now, depends of the project I handle, and someone needed right away, I look for another coach that I trust in that area. So definitely I look for help. Right now, I'm the VP of the International Coaching Federation in South Florida chapter. So I have all the coaches available for me in case I need it. I say, okay, I need 10 coaches for one project. Then I have International Coaching Federation to help me with that, which is coaching reliable in terms of leadership or in terms of, business matter working.
And so also too, I do want, since you've been in the game for a little bit, for like 15 years, right? Which is a long time. One of the things I'm curious about too is like something I noticed that is kind of taboo in the coaching industry, but should be talked about more is actually pricing. Because I feel like a lot of coaches who listen to this, they struggle with it. Obviously, you don't have to give any hard numbers, Diana, but when you were kind of building up your coaching practice, how did you structure your pricing? How did you come up with the initial numbers? Did you decide packages or value based or retainer? Like, how did you kind of decide all that? I would love to hear the story about that.
This wasn't ready for me at the beginning, even if I'm a coach. I mean, when you struggle in your own business, you also have things that you look for help. And at the beginning, I was exactly looking to have the right the right price. But if you understand the cost, if you understand the value of your time, of your hour, and all the tools that you need in order to do the right job, because if it is only talking, it's okay. But in my case, I use a lot of tools. I use cars, I have markers, I have papers, I have games, I have many things. So if I put the value of the cost of those implements, then at least I have a base. And if I'm going to go a session for a 60 or 100 people, then I know that I'm going to need services, that I'm going to need more help in assistance on other coaches. So if I do my table of costs, that is the most important place. If I need to, if the client is going to have the place, or if I'm responsible to have a hotel room or another place, if it is food involved, all of that is part of the cost. When you have all this line, then it is easy for you to say, okay, now after covering all of that cost, what is going to be the percentage that is going to go to me, to my time, to my value? But that is more easy, that you simply say this is a package. And of course, the package, if it is a package, the package has to include a monthly payment from the client, and that monthly payment is to sustain the service, either if I can be in the consultation or in the coaching session, or if I need to hire another person. So I need to have that cost. How much is going to cost me to have another person just in case I cannot be for that session? So I need to cover that cost. I need to see how much the other are, and I need a percentage of that because it's going to be a reference. It's going to work for me. So having the cost is very, very important.
Yeah, it's just really interesting to hear your approach to this, because a lot of holistic kind of spiritual like type of people, sometimes they're just like, oh yeah, it's like intuition based. It's like whatever I feel, right? And it doesn't, and I like your approach where it's a little bit more pragmatic, where it's like, oh yeah, let's figure out our table of costs. Let's figure out at bare minimum how much it takes to break even, and then decide how much I want to profit. And I think it gets closer to that answer, because a lot of beginner coaches, they're just like, well, everybody tells me to charge what I'm worth, but how do I even know what I'm worth? And it gets closer to that answer. So I appreciate you for sharing that, Diana.
Yes, definitely, because it is beautiful to start saying, oh my God, because I feel that. So sometimes I'm going to charge you. And if I get emotional, if I'm part of the coaching that I get emotional, I say, you know what, it's okay. Pay me what you want, or, $50, $70. And then we get into that emotional part. So business doesn't grow. So we need to be aware of the cost. I mean, because it is my friend, I may say, yeah, maybe I can give you a discount, but the basis we need to cover. I mean, we need to cover all the tools, computer tools, the market. We need to cover the basic, and this is like the really good base to start with, recognizing what is going to be the cost involved, and that includes what I'm going to spend in Google with my email. If I'm going to buy my domain, if monthly how much I'm gonna pay for my email, so I can have the right, which is like $25. So all of that little expenses, you need to be ready to cover it monthly.
And it's funny because for my crystal girls and my crystal bros, something I always like to remind ourselves is that the universe or source or whatever gave us two sides of our brain, like logic and emotion, and we have to use both. And then money is actually an energy transfer of the physical universe as well, and it takes energy to start these initiatives and stuff like that too. So I love that. Thank you for that. Okay, let's get into the next part, right? So you've been in the game for 15 plus years. I'm curious about your future goals. So I guess, where do you want this coaching business to take you in the next few years? Do you have desires to scale? Do you want to hire more people? Do you have secret dreams no one knows about? Tell me all about it.
No, definitely. I move into the part of a general coaching for business. Now I'm more into the part of the health and well-being. So I moved the practice because one thing what I've been discovering through the years is I have of the tools for you to be a better person, a better leader, have better communication skills, that you can practice the nonviolent communication all the time, that you have better relationships. So all of that is beautiful. But at the end, when I notice is you can have the tools, but if you are not healthy, is not going to be sustainable. You're going to have fatigue, you're going to have stress again, your cortisol levels are going to come up again, and then you're going to come back into the circle. So I right now moving into the health and well-being. I'm a coach in nutrition as well. So in that part, I'm moving into covering the nutrition part in coaching. If you are healthy, if you maintain a right lifestyle, then you can sustain the rest of the tools to be a better leader. But I decide, so this is my future, just focus on health and well-being. Because I discover many, and I have clients that have many sessions, 1 year and a half, 2 year session, and I say, why do you need me for any longer if you really need to take care of your lifestyle? Because if you don't come into the health, that is not going to be sustainable. Because if you're healthy, then everything's going to follow. Your body's going to follow. Then the rest is better to have. But most people are failing in nutrition. Most people are failing in having the right lifestyle. Most people is failing in understanding what the body is telling them. So of course, if they're uncomfortable with the body, the mind is not going to follow.
I think people sometimes forget about that too. It's like, yes, there is like a lot of like, there is the mind part, as you mentioned too, but I look at athletes, right? And then, like they have a very strong mindset, right? But if you look at their physical, it's not built on pizza and like random like junk food, American junk food, right? So yeah, it provides a good foundation. I love that. How about business wise too?
So that's what I'm moving into the building spaces. Big, actually. We're now producing one of the biggest events for the Hispanic population in Florida, which is the Summit for Wellbeing, which is going to be all day, different doctors, neuroscience, nutrition, sports, holistic, Ayurveda, all different kinds in health approach, so can audience can have information and they can make better decisions. So we're moving into bigger stages to build this conscious awareness about health and well-being.
Beautiful. That's exciting. So you're trying to build a summit. You're switching your approach more into the physical realm, or transitioning your approach. Would you say expanding or transitioning? What do you feel? Do you feel like the initial integrating? Okay.
Integrating. I think integrating because yeah, it's part of the coaching business too, which is
How
yeah.
about for your practice? What does the future of your practice look like behind the scenes too, like the business end? Do you have a dreams to like hire more people, or do you like keeping things intimate?
Yes. No, I definitely one of the things that we need as a coach, and I'm also doing it, is building a community near you that you can reach to. So as I told you at the beginning, if I'm going to have a project, if I'm going to go to a company, I'm going to start the coaching session on health and well-being, definitely I need support. So I'm building that kind of approach, doing interviews, having coaches, uh, see how they work, what are the protocols they're using for, if they are aligned for the one that I'm working with, so I can have that in mind when we're gonna approach to do workshops.
I see this goal you're headed to, right? The next season of your business. But something interesting I like to notice too is like, what are some, maybe not challenges, but what are some growing pains that you're just noticing right now in this season of business right now? Anything that is unexpected as you're going toward this goal? Oh, growing pains. Do you know what a growing pain is? Growing pains. So like, a good example of a growing pain, right, is like, oh, let's take the physical domain, right? Maybe you start yoga, right? And a growing pain, even if you look at things long term, right? Let's say you're holding, do you do yoga or what kind of fitness do you kind of do, Diana? You do? Okay. So the first time, okay, cool. We can take either or. I'll give the gym one actually. It's really when someone starts going to the gym and starts weight training, right? They feel super super sore and they're like, "Oh my god, I feel so sore," especially after the first day of squats. Like they're just like, "Oh my god, I can't walk." And they're walking side to side like this, right? That is an example of a growing pain where it's like it's temporary kind of painful, but long term it's you're moving in the right direction. So yeah, kind of like things like that, symptoms of challenges or things like that.
One of the things I'm observing, and I think it was at the beginning of the conversation, is like still there is not a lot of knowledge of what coaching is. Right now we have so many coaches of everything, because it is a confusion into the mentoring and coaching. People took 1 week workshops and then now they're coaching. And what I see as a growing pain is I have clients that have taken coaching session and it gets worse. The relationships it get worse, the work get worse. So when you find this thing, I say, where is the ethical responsibility of a person that he called themselves as a coach, and what is the ethics part in terms of being responsible of somebody else life, and it is a growing pain because I find that all the time. I find out all the time with uh, the trusting part of a person and to getting to know what's real coaching. And that is a pain growing for me when I see so many things not in the right place, especially for the ethical part.
So let me just let me make sure I understand. So it sounds like maybe you said the knowledge of coaching or understanding what real coaching is. What you're observing right now is that maybe something like with relationships, like things are getting worse before they're getting better, or is it kind of like external circumstances are just coming into a relationship? Like I'm kind of, yeah, I would love to hear more about this.
No, when sometimes when I start with a new client, they already come with a background of another coaching session because they have a bad experience, because it was not ethical, because it was not professional. So the misconception of what was coaching. So, and this is happening when I start a new coaching, when I have a new clients, and I say, listen, do you have coaching session before? And what was the experience? Tell me about what happened. Why now you're looking for another coach? What make you change? And then I hear so many stories and I say, oh my God, this is an ethical approach. No, not going into the judgment part, but I found so many unethical approach, and that's why explaining better what is the ethical responsibility of a coach and a coachee is very important. So it's painful because it is our business, no? It is a profession. It's like you finding a doctor doing eye surgery when you have no experience of eye surgery, and then you find so many patients with different eye, and then they look for you and you say, I mean, who doctor operates you? He have experience in eye or no? So it's a kind of painful, having patient come in and say, oh my God, what was your experience in coach?
Any challenges right now? Are you still going through this challenge, or are there any like current challenges right now as well?
I'm still going into challenges. I mean, every time I spoke about coaching, I find so many different stories of that. And that's why I increase the word also of an awareness of professional coaching ethics. And this is one of my priorities part before getting into new client. I mean, this is what we're going to work for. This is the ethics. This is the responsibilities of myself. This is your responsibility as a coachee. And this is how we're going to work it. So set it up. That is important.
Last segment I want to play with you. It's kind of like a mini advice or mini game from you. It's called overrated, underrated. And so I want to do it through the lens of business investments because, as you know, a lot of coaches, we invest into things like our own training, marketing, team members, other masterminds, other programs, right? A lot of different things. It goes on and on and on. Some of it turns out good, some of it turns out bad. And so what I'm kind of curious about is what is the most overrated business investment that you made for your business? And what's the most underrated business investment that you've made so far? Kind of curious.
When it comes to digital tools, I think there is always a cost with something new that you don't know if it is, even if you see the review or you buy or somebody recommend it to you, I think has been one of the most costs to apply the technological part into the business, for the followers, to do even the e-marketing stuff, and so many now with the AI that is overwhelming how much you can spend little by little in different parts, and you may not use all of them. But just with the assignment to enhance your practice, then you ended up having so many apps, so many applications, even for editing personal approach, or for your marketing, personal marketing, or even for having the follow-up for the client. So I think that in my case, we spend a lot of money, and now we're watching.
Is that your overrated or underrated piece for digital tools? Is that underrated or overrated for you?
It's overrated.
Overrated? Okay. So what's the underrated one? Like the best kept like secret one that you made?
Wow, the simple things. Having definitely a technical support will save you a lot of money. I do have technical support, and really, there are so many things that today I'm happy to have it. It saves me a lot of money, and I still maintain for many years.
When you say technical support, what does that look like? Do you have like an ops person behind the scene?
I have a person.
Ah,
No, yeah, I have a person.
interesting. Beautiful. Also,
And also in a stage, also in workshops, also everywhere. I always have a backup person all the time.
I also want to ask you too, what was the first business investment you ever remember making?
It was not in coaching, but yeah, little. I buy. I start selling in my school things, so I create some things for the head of woman. So my first investment is one with my mother, saying, "Okay, let me save the money from the school little by little, and then I buy a beautiful big part, and then I cut it and make so many, and then that was my first investment as a kid." So that was my first, and after that I've been investing and looking for investors and creating stuff. So always look for that, look for sponsors, always in the creativity mode of enhancing the practice.
What was the last business investment you made?
Right now we are investing in nutritional supplements from medicinal plants to have available for the to help people to have a better lifestyle in terms of nutrition. So this is our investment right now, actual investment right now.
Best business investment you made?
Working on myself, trying to figure out who am I. So that make easy my job every single day, make easy my life every single day.
Worst business investment that you kind of wish you got your money back from?
No, I will not call any worse. No, I did invest in having Latin America, different country trips, so I can have international clients. Some of them was good. Some countries did not work out well. So that was a big investment in terms of trips, hotels, and all of that. It was not bad, but yeah, I think it was overestimated.
And also, quick question for you too. There's also this thing where people talk about like, oh yeah, if you're a coach, you need to invest in a coach. Do you believe in that, or do you feel that that's something that you believe in or disagree with? Agree or disagree
No,
with?
I agree. I believe. I think that is a kind of mentoring too, because if you're gonna be like financial coaching, and I see your life, and if you're doing well, okay, I trust you. But if you're a financial coaching and then I say, my God, you debts or I think coherence has to be in place for any type of coaching. Coherence. If you financial coaching, there are so many very good. I use a financial coaching and it helped me a lot. But I see her life and it's like coherence what you do, no? And I think it's part of that. So when we look for a coach services, you need to see the coherence. If you go for a life coaching, you have to see the coherence in the person life, in the person relationships. Coherence need to be in place, number one priority.
As I'm asking these questions, I'm sure certain stories are coming up. So how do you decide what to invest in and what not to invest in?
I always also trust my gut feeling. I in the spiritual practice, of course, and I talk to people. I listen a lot. I research a lot, and after that, then I make the decision.
Cool. Last question for you, Diana. How do people find you and connect with you?
Well, have the Instagram account, either through our webpage, intushealth.com, or even for more business coaching is thequalitymind.com. But in terms of health and well-being, Intus Health, my Instagram account, the Figueroa Call in Instagram, in Facebook. I'm all here all the time, but yeah, I think those are the best way to contact. My cell phone. I'm very open. You can have my cell phone. You find my number everywhere. So 305-905-0924. That's my direct contact number. LinkedIn too. I am in LinkedIn, Diana Figueroa. So in LinkedIn, you also can find me.
Diana, so many great insights from this. And something that just sticks out to me a lot of times is like you have this really nice balance of like pragmatic but holistic as well. And it's been pretty apparent throughout the whole podcast, even as you were talking about, hey, how do I price and things like that. And so I just want to say that I appreciate you. I appreciate your work. I do believe that your work is needed. Your work matters. And just thank you so much for just coming onto the podcast and just sharing your experience with us. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Kevin, for the work you're doing. Thank you for having the patience, for listening, for preparing all these questions, and for doing this an amazing job, which is also educating in terms of the coaching. I'm so happy and glad to have this time together. I hope that we can have more moments like this.
That's it for this episode of Career Coaching Secrets. If you enjoyed this conversation, you can subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you're listening to this episode to catch future episodes. This podcast was brought to you by Purple Circle, where we help career coaches scale their business to $100,000 years, $100,000 months, or even $100,000 weeks, all without burning out and making sure that you're making the impact and having the life that you want. To learn more about our community and how we can help you, visit joinpurplecircle.com.